Everyone, you are watching Rob's MetalWorks, and tonight we find ourselves here at the Grizzly Hall to support one hell of a tour. Superjoint is leading the show tonight, but Detroit's BATTLECROSS is here as direct support. None better. I have with me the man, guitarist Hiran of the band. Sir, welcome to the show. Take two.
Thank you. It's good to be here, man. I'm fucking excited.
As BATTLECROSS's name is becoming more well known in the national and world metal scenes. I think there's still people who don't really know a lot about the band and the history of the band. So to share a little bit for those fans out there, the early beginnings of BATTLECROSS.
Man, well, it kind of goes back to 2004. Yeah, we were actually a four-piece at the time, and Tony and I started the band basically, and started the band in like high school, but we didn't use the name BATTLECROSS yet until about 2004, 2005, and we were like a four-piece band, and it was a different sound at that time. It was kind of more, there was really no harsh vocals. The drums were kind of more. I don't know, there were no blast beats or anything like that, and the aggression was kind of there, but it wasn't as it was what it is now. Right. And so we did shows like that for a while as a four-piece, and Tony did vocals, and our old bass player did vocals, and then about 2006, we kind of went our separate ways with the other guys, and it was just Tony and I. And we were like, all right, we're going to kind of go we wanted to go kind of more in a different direction. And Tony wanted to step away from vocals and actually have a front man. And we wanted to get a little more technical with what we were doing musically and kind of focus more on broadening our horizons a little bit more on that. So, around that time, we got our drummer, Mike. He was the original drummer on Pursuit of Honor. He came in, and our original singer Marshall came in, and that's kind of when the birth of like what this band became, and that's when we were writing the songs like Rupture and Breaking You, and basically a lot of stuff off of Pursuit of Honor was written in those early stages. And then, from there we went through a couple more lineup changes. Our bass player left in about 2008, and that's when Don stepped in, and obviously Don stepping in added a whole nother level to what we were doing and his technique and ability. And he also writes on guitar as well. So now we had a third guitar writer, so now it's three guitarists trying, writing together and writing these songs. And that was like a huge step for us. And then about 2009, our original vocalist Marshall, we parted ways with him, and then Kyle, Gumby as we call him, stepped in, and he was from a band called IDK, and they played local shows with us, and they were from Flint, and both our bands played shows with them. We always played shows together and stuff like that, and actually our manager managed us and them, and so when his band sort of fell apart and then our singer left, he came in on the fold and did some shows with us, and we were psyched about it, and he basically went in and re-recorded some songs that we had because we had actually self-released our album with our old vocalist, and so when we were talking to Metal Blade and stuff, we wanted to send him some new songs with our new vocalist, with Kyle stepping in, so we redid those, and they dug it, and we basically redid the vocals on the first release, and that was Pursuit of Honor, which came out on Metal Blade about 2011, so that was the beginning of where we are now, so that was the start of things, and once we were signed, we were on the touring, grueling schedule, and that was our attitude, was we wanted to go out there and prove ourselves and show people that we were going to work hard to get where we're at, so here we are, man.
And in 2015, you released your third release for Metal Blade Records, Rise to Power. Definitely a killer release, many would say, definitely the band's best output. What you and Tony are doing in guitar is, continue to evolve, as you just said. So, obviously, and this record has garnished so many more fans for BATTLECROSS. So, talk a little bit about this release. How do you feel it's kind of progressed? What areas of it? Because you guys have introduced like some subtleties and some of the beginnings of the songs. Really cool things.
Yeah, I personally feel it's our best release to date. And that's just me personally being in the band. Obviously fans have a different view, and I think it changes. I think regardless, fans were happy with what we did. But it was definitely, I think we went a little bit even more broadening horizons in our writing style, and sort of doing stuff that was a little different and not always fast. Doing sort of the slow, heavy stuff. A couple songs had like acoustic intros and stuff, and that was the first time we've done that. So I think it was just us not holding back on anything and sort of saying we're just going to write from the heart and write from our gut and like really, not box ourselves into anything. So that was really the mindset with Rise to Power. It was sort of like not listening to anybody and anyone else but ourselves, and trusting ourselves to put something fucking awesome out, and we had a few months, some downtime to actually write. It was honestly the first record, I think, where we actually had somewhat of a short time to sort of write, because it was in between, basically, like with the first album, everyone's first album is always, you got years to write that, because you're, depending on the band, but for us, it was like, we had material on there from 2007, you know what I mean? So we had years to work on certain songs, and finally we released it in 2011, and then with War or Will, there were a couple songs on there that were sort of like tailed off from after Pursuit of Honor, and then we had time to work on that, and we also, at the same time, had our original drummer in the band, and right before War or Will, we lost our drummer, and then we went through basically fill-in drummers, in between that time. So when we did Rise to Power, we had Alex Bent in the band at the time, but he lived out in California, so we're like, we're writing with these limited amount of months that we had before we had to go in the studio and be ready to go. And we had him come out for like a week and jam out some stuff, but we really didn't get to dwell on the songs a whole lot. But I think we still went in with confidence, and when we went in the studio, a lot of that stuff was sort of hashed out and trimming the fat, basically. But I felt really good, man. We went to Audio Hammer, which is where we went for the second album, and it was great to work with those guys. The only difference, we worked with Mark Lewis on both, but we worked with Jason Sukoff, and he's a fucking amazing...
What's up, Sukoff?
Amazing guitar player, amazing producer. I mean, he's just all-around talented, so it was really fucking cool to work with him and sort of get a different perspective, on this record.
That guy's a great guitar player and singer himself.
He is, man. He's got just a great mind for riffs and solos, and then also vocal ideas, vocal patterns, and everything. I mean, everything all around. We worked with him one-on-one for everything, bass, drums, all that stuff. So it was fucking awesome, and I'm super happy with how it turned out, man. And I think the fans really dug it, and I think a lot of people were just happy that we still stuck to who we are as a band, but we didn't, I think we surprised some people a little bit with some songs, which was in a good way, and I think that's what we will always continue to do, is keep the essence of who we are, but still, try new things.
So lyrically, obviously, Rise to Power, the band is rising, in the metal scene and in the national and worldwide scene. Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of, was that the mindset going in? Is that how you felt about, the career, I guess, the young career that BATTLECROSS has had? Because, there's some bands who don't get that far.
Yeah, no, we've been very fortunate to have certain opportunities and get certain tours to play and play in front of such a big audience. I mean, we did the Orion Festival with Metallica, which was huge. We did Mayhem Fest in 2013, and all these things and all these tours that we got a chance to go. I mean, we've even, getting over to Europe at such a young stage was, a big deal for us too. And even going to South America, we did some shows in Brazil, and that was amazing, and most bands never even get there. So I think, we've been fortunate enough to have those opportunities to get out there and do that. I don't think that's more or less changed who we are. I think that we've always had the mindset we're just going to go and do what's best for the band, and always seize every opportunity that's given to us, and we're not one of those bands that's afraid to step outside the box a little bit and tour with bands that maybe aren't completely thrash metal or completely, any sort of extreme metal. We did a tour with a band called Protest the Hero, and that was, that lineup was such a mixture. I mean, we were like the thrash metal band on there, and like, the other bands had metal elements, but I think, we were kind of more the extreme heavy sort of band, and we stood out because of that. And I think we definitely made some new fans from that. So we're not afraid to, take an opportunity when we see it, and I think, with Rise to Power that more or less is kind of the lyrical theme was staying positive and sort of, positive aggression is how I sort of describe, lyrically where we come from, because we tend to do stuff that, is inspirational to people. Like, we try to just keep that positivity in the music, because, for us, we're honestly who we are as people. We're just fucking regular dudes that love metal, and we play this music because we love it and we want to go out there and have fun. And there's really, there's something out there for everyone, but for us, we're not really that band that sings about dark elements or like goes into that dabbles into where maybe a lot of metal bands go to lyrically or thematically with what they are. And that's fine. I think every band does their own thing differently, and for us it wouldn't be us if we sang about Vikings and Satan and monsters and demons and things. That's just not, it's not us. I like bands like that. That doesn't mean that I don't like that stuff. It's just an essence of who we are. It's not who we are, and like I said, I think we kind of go for more of like a positive focal point with the band. That's where Rise to Power sort of comes from. But like I said, going back to the career thing, I think it's just we always just try to look forward and keep going. And every band has their ups and downs, and we haven't, every tour that we've done, I've been thankful that we've been on, because it's always been something new for us and something, a new audience to pull. So I don't look at anything as like, we may not be doing these big tours all the time, but we're doing different tours that are still a big deal to us, and we're still always getting, and like I said, we'll play with any band anytime, like we not any band, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not afraid to, like, step outside that box, like I said, and I think we always try to find an opportunity in anything to get out there. Because, we're, even 3 albums in, there's still a lot of people that haven't heard of us, and we still need to get out there and let people know who we are.
I remember last time that we had a chance to converse, you were like, I still want to be out there supporting Rise to Power, and I think still many people need to come on to it.
Yeah, I think there's still some life left in that album, and even usually by now we'd be probably in the studio, recording something new, but our mindset isn't there yet. And I think, like I said, I think we should do more touring and get out there and let people know who we are, and then sort of regress back and think about what's next for the next album.
The last time we had a chance to see BATTLECROSS, you guys were headlining your own tour, the Winter Warriors tour, back in December. So talk a little bit about the headline run. How did that go? Were you happy with it? Any lessons learned from doing your own headline show, and maybe some of the added pressure or responsibility that goes on with being the headliner?
Yeah, for sure. There's always more added pressure and responsibility, for sure. You have other bands on the bill that you're trying to take care of and make sure everyone's taken care of on the road, and for us, we've got to deliver. We're playing a longer set, like on headlining, so it's like we got to be on top of our game. You can't, more or less, got to cut back on the drinking a little bit, on the partying a little bit, and all that stuff, because you got to be out there and on top of your A game. And I think a lot of things with the headline is you're more or less playing to more our fans than newer fans. Yeah. Sometimes you do play to new people, but it happens a lot of times as the support brings new people, but then sometimes they just come for their bands and then they leave, but some people stick around. So support tours are better for, I think, grabbing new fans. I think headlining is more or less being able to play for our fans and sort of get out there for them. And also, we tend to do sometimes better in merch on the headline stuff like that. We sell more of our merch and all that stuff. So, like, business-wise, you make more money sometimes on a headline tour. But, like I said, right now, I think we should be doing more support stuff. And I don't mind doing the headlining stuff. Lesson learned would basically just be I just think that we need more support tours to let people know who we are and keep building what BATTLECROSS is, And the more and more we go out and support more and more fans, then you go out with a headliner, and then you get more of an audience to come out to those shows, and support it. So I am happy with the shows that we did. They were a lot of fun. Necromancer and the Stone and Allegiant were great bands to tour with, and they were fun shows, man, for sure. But like career-wise, I think right now we need to focus on support tours for sure. So,
and you guys are on the first date of the Super Joint Ritual Tour. Should be quite exciting doing this run. up until Feb 3rd, I believe, or Feb 5th. But opening up for Phil Anselmo and his crew, definitely opening lots of doors for Battlecross, and you'll be in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for us to get out there in front of Phil Anselmo's fans. I mean, there's Superjoint fans, but there's also Phil Anselmo fans, and you got the Pantera fans in there, and everybody else mixed in. So I think it's going to be a big opportunity for us to get in front of those fans and play for them. So I'm stoked about it, man. I think this is a great opportunity. I'm a big Phil fan myself, and been a Pantera fan. That's my number one band right there. So, and I've always been a fan of his other projects like Superjoint and Down and all that stuff. So I'm really pumped to be here, and I think I'm excited, man. I think this is gonna be a good run, and we got Childbite on here too, which they're also Detroit boys. So it's cool, man. It's cool to have our hometown bros with us too on this run. So yeah.
So Hiran, I know you said you still want to support Rise to Power, but when the time comes when you're ready to settle down and write new music, when do you kind of foresee that in the future? Do you want to tour all of 2017, or would you like to do some writing later this year? And I ask only because it's the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think it depends on what we have in between the touring. I'd like to focus more on touring, but that doesn't mean that I'm not open to focus on writing as well. And like I said, with any downtime that we have, I would like to get in that mindset to start doing that. But also it gives us some time, to slowly do that and not feel rushed. Like, oh shit, it's we got 6 months to get in the studio. I don't want that feeling. I just want to be able to write and take our time and work together on these songs and build on that. And then when we feel ready to go in the studio, be like, boom, And I imagine that 2018 will be kind of the year to maybe focus on writing these songs and building them, and then maybe by the end of 2018, who knows? Maybe that's when we'll hit the studio.
Right.
You never know. I mean, for all I know, within 6 months we could fucking be inspired and have new shit written.
Yeah.
You never know. So, for us right now, I think personally we're just trying to do more touring, and in any downtime we just take our time and write and just get in that mode and get creative. So.
And Hiran, as we end out, man. You guys are road dogs, and share a little bit about your insight about what's happening with heavy music across the country. How do you feel about it? Do you go out and feel confident every night when you go into the South or the New England area, Midwest? How do you feel?
It's so different because I think each show and whoever's touring out there, it's just different for each band. It's hard to say. I mean, you definitely go to places where it's rough and no one shows up, or you go to other places and it's fucking killer. So, the metal scene I think is still alive and well. I think people still support metal, and there's so much new bands out there that people are excited about, and even the old bands are bringing in the young crowd that hasn't seen them before. So it's cool. It's kind of like passing on generations of that. It's awesome, and I hope that it just keeps continuing to grow. I think the biggest problem is just I don't think enough people come out to shows, and I think. And like I said, it depends, I mean, it's sometimes it's the tour you're on, or sometimes it's just...
It might be too fucking cold outside.
I mean, that too. You never know. It's sometimes hit or miss, man. And, you can have good shows, in some place, and then, a bad show somewhere else. But, I mean, I think the important thing is that you keep hitting it hard no matter what. And at the same time, you do got to be smart about what you do. You can't play the same place, every 2 months, every 3 months or whatever, so... I'm just, that's why I said I think the strategy right now for us is to support, because I think we're still this young band that's growing our fan base, and I don't think I don't think right now that we're completely headliner material until we've grown more with fans and people coming out to shows. I mean, not to say that we can't do it, we can. It's just, I think it's better to support right now, and I think, and sort of jumping on to these bands that do have a good draw. And I still think the scene is strong, and like I said, I think people are continuously being excited about metal and what's out there. I mean, especially with the internet, you have so much more access to this music, and it's definitely grown in that way. But at the same time, sometimes that can hurt because you also oversaturate the market with so many bands, and people get lost. And it's like you put out a new record, and it's only a flavor for 2 weeks, and then it's like the next thing, you know, and that's the thing, that's the hard thing about keeping people relevant with music, because there's so much of it out there, and then it's on to the next thing for everybody. So, you know, that's the hardest thing right now, I think, with the scene right now, is just getting people to focus on bands and try, and also getting everyone to sort of support everything. There's sometimes there can be a divide within music genres, you know, and certain bands only want to go see their, you know, that, or certain fans only want to go see their bands, and that's it. And I think people need to maybe embrace more of the different music out there, and I get it, it's fine to have a difference of opinion, and I think there just needs to be less bashing of other kinds of music and just be more open to it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it, and that's just basically it, you know. So
I wish everyone had your goodwill, Hiran. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time to speak with Rob's MetalWorks and sharing all about Battlecross. Any last words? Anything that I missed, or anything that you want to share with fans around the world who will see this interview?
Just want to tell all the fans out there to check out Battlecross. If you haven't heard of us, check it out, and if you like it, spread the word. That's all we ask. Tell your friends, get it out. That's the best way to get music out there and get music that you like out there, is to tell everyone about it. Talk about what you like. So if you dig it, talk about it, spread the word. Battlecross. We're on the tour with Superjoint and Child Bite. Check it out. Check out the dates. Hopefully we're coming near you.
Yes, people, go out there, get there early, support Battlecross. The latest is called Rise to Power, out on Metal Blade Records. I want to give a big shout out to my girl Liz out there. Thank you for hooking me up with the man. You saw Hiran of the band right here on Rob's MetalWorks.